welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex. Well, we've stared at every screenshot, discussed every rumour and drooled over every gameplay trailer, but now we finally get to experience the heat and smog of Los Santos in GTA 5.
Also, we're armed only with a video camera and our survival instincts in Outlast. But before that, can you guess the sound for this week?
Have you read a history book lately, son? The Australian-American War was the biggest war since the big one.
News time, Bajo.
Good game.
Independent game developer Sam Smolders, creator of Victim of Zen, has been arrested in the United States and charged with violating US immigration laws. Smolders was found by US border agents in Detroit, soaking wet after allegedly swimming across the US-Canadian border via the Detroit River. Smolders had lived in the US since he was 5 years old, but was deported at the age of 18 due to improperly filed immigration documents. At the time of reporting, Smolders' lawyers were seeking to allow for him to be deported to Belgium to seek legal re-entry back into the US. Crytek has given its blessing to a fan-made remake of the classic Timesplitters series. The game is currently titled Timesplitters Rewind and will feature all 3 single-player campaigns as well as all multiplayer content. It will be released for free on PC and PlayStation 4 and allow for cross-platform play between the 2 formats. An Xbox One version is currently not planned due to the console's lack of cross-platform support.
Good game.
Hex, no matter how seriously a game wants me to take it, I can't help but push back with a bit of silliness.
Yes, I'm well aware.
But when it came to Outlast, this was my game face. I'm okay.
The indie-developed Outlast is a game designed to test your nerves, and it certainly does a thorough job of keeping you in a permanent state of panic. There's a brief moment of calm before the storm as the game establishes you're playing as journalist Miles Upshur, investigating reports of illegal experiments at an abandoned mental asylum.
Firstly, who accepts a job to go out into an abandoned asylum in the middle of nowhere by themselves?
Yeah, at night.
Without a weapon?
Or a mobile phone. Although, I guess you just kind of have to accept that this game is going to make you feel powerless. Oh my god, I can't see anything. As soon as I was inside the asylum, it was obvious some truly horrific things had happened there. I wanted to leave pretty much as soon as I got there, but it becomes obvious that you're trapped like a rat in a cage with some really disturbed tormentors.
Little pig.
You'll spend a lot of the game being hunted, but the worst thing is there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop these guys. You can't attack or incapacitate them at all. Running and hiding is it.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. The worst was when I was hiding in something like a locker and I could hear them right outside. To really freak you out, they even open lockers randomly. I mean, do I try and make a run for it or just stay hidden and hope that they don't open my locker?
I hate those guys so much, and the way they taunt you. This game goes out of its way to make you feel like a killer's plaything, and I have to say, I think it's a fairly unpleasant experience.
Yeah, and then it really ramps up the tension by really limiting what you can see. You'll be trying to find your way through a lot of very dark areas. The only way you can see is with the night vision mode on your camera, but the game only drip feeds you enough batteries to use it very sparingly, so you're forced to wander around blind some of the time, just flicking the night vision on briefly to get a handle on your surroundings, which usually leads to moments like this.
I think this game does an amazing job of creating tension. I think they do that really well, but also it's a bit of a double-edged sword because I found myself getting frustrated and fatigued at feeling so helpless all the time. And it feels like the game goes out of its way to troll you about that all the time. Often, I'd be running away from killers desperately, trying to find a way out, and you just keep hitting these locked doors. It got to the point where I just did not want to see another long corridor of doors that I'd have to try, because I knew each wrong one would just end up in stab, stab, game over, try again.
What you mean. I just don't think they could have created that tension without the constant threat of danger. And it made it so thrilling when I did nail those perfect runs, desperately staying out of reach of the killer long enough to make some mad leap to freedom.
Not one of them, are you? Quick, get in the dumbwaiter if you want to live. God damn it!
Even though I knew that freedom would always be short-lived.
I'm either a chase here, buddy.
I think this game overstays its welcome because it just gets so repetitive. It's creep around, and then when you're found, run for your life. And it never really evolves beyond that, which would be fine for a shortish game, but for 8 hours...
I don't know, this is a horror game, and I went into it expecting to be squirming in my seat the whole time, and I definitely was. So I really enjoyed it. I'm giving it 8.5.
I'm giving it 6 out of 10.
So indie games can often be quite divisive. That's part of the reason why we love them. Goose recently caught up with some indie developers to find out about the state of the local industry.
It's no secret that the Australian games industry has been hit hard by big studio closures in recent years. In 2007, over 1,400 people were employed in the industry. By 2012, that number had dropped to just over 500. But there still remains a group of passionate and innovative game makers following their own rules as independent developers.
When I finished high school, I'm a student, I don't really know what I want to do, so I decided to do a really big, broad double degree that was in computer science and in multimedia. In the final year, I decided I was going to take some of the prototypes and ideas that I'd been working on since 2006 and actually do something with them. I then decided that I would go off and make a commercial version of this, and the next 3 years was me just doing that.
I actually started doing computer science at University of Wollongong, which was really fun. When I graduated, it was kind of right when all the studios closed down and I had nowhere to go, so some friends and I started our own little studio.
We started out in the modding community, which is a really great place to meet developers because in the modding community, it's illegal to make money off your thing almost all of the time. So you pretty much only get guys who are doing it for the love of it.
I got into games development because I saw a whole bunch of games developers in Perth. We had a large studio come in and they shut down when the first financial crisis came through. And then all these people needed a place to be and to go, and so I just thought, I'll make my own studio with no backgrounding. I'm not a coder or a project manager or anything like that. I just thought these people deserve better.
Being an indie dev can have a ton of benefits. Flexible hours, creative freedom, the ability to turn your idea into a best-selling game. It all sounds too good to be true, because most of the time it is.
Well, it's been 8 years from start to finish, and we've been through everything in that time. We've had publishers come and go, pull out, and we've had accountancy problems, we've had currency issues that we've had to deal with. It seems like everything has gone wrong.
When you're talking about challenges, people are always thinking like, oh, what was hard about the tech? What was hard about the design? Honestly, when you spend 3 years in a bedroom by yourself, the hardest challenge is just like actually getting through the process.
The biggest challenge you face is time. I was having to manage a team that's mostly guys from the internet, people all around the world. I had a crazy sleep cycle.
Coming straight out of uni without ever having worked in a bigger studio, we didn't really know how games companies were supposed to run, so we just kind of made it up as we went along. I don't know whether we really had any one person in charge, so we had a lot of heated arguments about everything.
It's very difficult for indie developers to get the kind of exposure that the bigger companies get. It's just to get heard, to get noticed, and to get the word out there about their game.
When you first do it, you just really have no idea how to market. I mean, it does come down to just telling as many people about your game as possible and hoping they tell as many people about they know as possible.
The marketing side of things is difficult for absolutely everyone. No one wants to do it. Everyone would rather just work on the game. But if you are that serious about what you're doing, then you have to get good at that as well.
Financial security can be hard to come by as an indie dev, and consequently, many find themselves walking a fine line between thriving entrepreneur and penniless artist.
We were students, so we were already kind of used to eating noodles every day anyways. We mostly all had part-time work doing other things, whether it was teaching, and we just kind of used that money to fund our games.
I need a day job because I have a small family, but I also have a private investor who was willing enough to have the confidence in me to try and execute this.
Well, I work a lot of different small contracts. At the moment, I'm on a big contract, so that's full-time. The games I develop at the moment is more of a professional hobby.
That's James Rover to you, you filthy pirate.
So what we did with Endgame over the last 10 years, we do some work for other developers or other publishers, and we do that project, and then after that we take the money from that and pour it into Fractured Soul, and we work on Fractured Soul for a few months, and then we go back and do another contract, and that's how it rolled for 10 years.
I live like a monk. I don't really spend anything anyway, and so when I decided I was going to do this, I knew that I had some savings built up. Then I was fortunate enough to, be one of the grand finals winners and make something unreal. So I got another like $25,000 from Epic.
It's taken us 2 years to develop it, on and off. Last year we got funding from Film Victoria. We got about $39,000 for it. So I was able to work on it full time, but I mean, for me, that isn't me being paid full time. That just means my rent is paid for a year.
The good news is there seems to be more financial help on the horizon. In addition to many state-based grants, the federal government has pledged a 3-year investment into the games industry, totalling $20 million. But will it be enough to get the Aussie industry back on its feet?
So we developed a couple of programs. One is a program that supports game companies, and one is a program that supports individual games. These programs are for more experienced game developers who want to take the next step. So what we're trying to achieve is greater employment, more games, more profitability for those indies that are still here and want to stay here.
I think it's great that the industry is getting these shot in the arm from the federal government, but we do need more. I mean, THQ alone was spending, had 200 people in the country. It was spending $2 million a month in the games industry on development. $20 million over 3 years is a small slice of what was being spent here. It's not going to radically get us back to where we were, but it's a great start.
Being in Victoria, we actually have access to quite a lot of help already. Not to say that we couldn't have something that is a bit more consistent. It always feels like our help is going to be kind of pulled, like we don't have any sort of sense of a long-term view of where this funding's going to be around in 3 years' time.
Why then do indie devs persist? With so many challenges and obstacles to overcome, creating a complete game sounds like more trouble than it's worth.
The thing that motivates you, and I believe that most game developers, particularly indie developers, are in this boat where it's almost a very ego-based industry. You go to a trade show and you see people playing and loving the game, and you come back and you just want to work on it. You just want to see that again. It's kind of like a drug.
Each game is really a very personal experience. It's almost like children, and creating something like that is just an amazing experience that you don't get anywhere else.
If this whole thing is a flop and doesn't make any money, I'm still going to be doing it. I'll just have to get some terrible job on the side.
I'm always inspired to make games because I love games and I love programming games. If I stopped making games, I'd stop being me.
When Blue Tongue Studio Oz shut down, then Team Bondi shut down a little bit after that, and we've had most of the studios that closed now. We've sort of had this crash of what we used to be, and we're still in the early days of what we're going to be. And I think it's fantastic to look around and see how good the indie games are, but I think we've still got a long journey ahead. We still need to mature, still need to be making better games, trying to compete more on a global scale in terms of the quality and the level of innovation. So yeah, I think we will become a nation of indie developers, which is a great thing, and we're well on that journey now.
Good game.
Okay, there's a shit ton of zombies in reception.
One of them had a sweet Megadeth t-shirt on.
So what do we do?
Let's lay low in Troy's apartment. He's got an Xbox.
Okay, could everyone just take off their shoes and put them over here?
Whoa, a whole babushka porcelain kitty set.
Norm, stay away from my miniature cabinet.
These are all JRPGs.
Troy, I'm going to eat your cat.
What?
Man up, boy. This is an apocalypse.
But I've got a whole fridge full of food.
Spring rolls.
Yeah, kitty.
Run, Sonic!
We'll track the zombies. Or, wake the baby.
Oh, a male Devon Rex. These are super rare. Don't!
Battlefield 3!
Great.
Good game.
Los Santos, a sticky, flat, smog-filled concrete jungle, full of red sunsets, steamy rain and smouldering beaches. It's a hive of cement with highways as twisted as its plastic inhabitants. And from the slums to the hillbilly outskirts to the upper-class mansions overlooking the scum below, it's now your playground to do with as you please.
Man, sorry about that.
Where do we even begin with Grand Theft Auto 5? Developer Rockstar have put everything they've got into this. It's the most impressive open world game ever created. It pushes this gen's hardware further than it can go, so naturally a few cracks show at times, but I think even the most hardened of graphics snobs will be able to let that go to spend some time in this glorious sandbox.
Yeah, it won me over pretty quickly, Hex. And where previous GTAs have said, no, you can't do that, no, you can't go there, GTA 5 says, yes, you can do that, and here, have a free parachute. This is a big game, and nothing is half done here. In fact, deciding what to do first is wonderfully daunting. I spent my first day with this game just mucking about and exploring, with my in-game phone on sleep mode, actively avoiding any narrative, just to see how big and different everything is. You can't look at any two parts of this world and say, these areas look identical.
Yeah, and if you've ever been to LA, you'll find it quite surreal coming across areas that take inspiration from the real thing. Rockstar have nailed the vibe of this steamy, unforgiving city, and they know it, I think.
Yeah, they're showing off now, and that's fine.
But a city is nothing without its people, and in Los Santos they're an angry, hilarious bunch. Plus animals. Hi, doggy.
You also find that life really does belong to its location, and areas are nicely populated, and everyone's going about their own AI routines, animals included. And what you do affects the world. You can even play the stock market based on mission actions and make some sweet cash on the side.
I think the first thing that really made me sit up and take notice was when I went out in the open ocean. The ebb and flow of the water and the physics of when your boat hits it is just about perfect. And that foam, Bajo.
Yeah, foam of the year. And you just know that the ocean is going to be full of all sorts of treasure. And it's an intricate world. From the canals to streets, you really feel like you can carve your own path through this town. Escaping police has never been more fun or felt as fair and balanced. I feel like they've pulled back on the reins a bit with the rules for this open world compared to previous GTAs, and I think it needed that. Having said that, you still can't assault a military base without being prepared.
Yeah, there is still plenty of challenge. And the way you're introduced to all of the game's mechanics is done well, with only the odd, annoying, over-helpful NPC.
You're downwind, so he's yours to lose, Trevor. Go get him.
After all those boring, cliched missions in Saints Row 4, this was just like a breath of fresh air. Well, smoggy Los Santos air anyway.
And most importantly, every character here feels like they have a story to tell.
Oh my god, did I get the part?
The sheer volume of dialogue and side conversations during missions and roaming is just astounding.
Will Yeah, I'm on it.
But let's get into the story.
Yes, now naturally we will avoid all spoilers. In fact, we're not even going to really talk about the narrative itself, just to be safe. Themes revolve around drugs, murder, heists, and the lure of Hollywood taking advantage of the innocent. You play as multiple characters, and once you've unlocked them, you can switch at certain times.
36 flow.
Michael is a rich ex-criminal, retired and feeling unfulfilled.
I'm not exactly enjoying myself here.
His family hate him and he's just trying to make things work.
How about I just drive us home?
You ruined my life.
You get the sense straight away that he's missing the old days and craving the thrill of a heist. Soon, he meets Franklin. Franklin at first seems a little bit cliched, a low-level gangster who's trying to climb the ladder. You know, with so few black protagonists in games, I found that a bit concerning and a little bit disappointing, to be honest. But as soon as he starts to develop, you realize that he's not your typical gangster.
But I gotta move forward in my life. It seems like all I do is let people tell me what to do and I do it and nothing changes.
I tell you what, my boy, you tell me exactly what you want and I will very carefully explain to you why it cannot be.
What?
He has a softer side and he feels like a real guy who just genuinely wants a better life for himself but is unable to get a break.
Both of these characters have good intentions, but make no mistake, you are playing the bad guy. Well, that is until you meet Trevor. Then you're playing the really bad guy.
Who?
Fucking who?
He's one of the scariest characters I've ever played in a game. He's unpredictable, violent, maniacal, and just basically insane.
Yeah, and this is where things get very dark very quickly. His missions jump from hilariousness to mass murder.
I try to be a good neighbor, and this is what I get!
He's definitely the scapegoat whenever Rockstar want to get violent and scratch that controversial itch.
Pretend to throttle me.
Yeah, okay, well, that would be my pleasure. Like that, huh? Yeah? Maybe something like this.
The contrast between these characters makes this the most interesting GTA storyline yet, and how their paths all intersect and cross over is so sophisticated.
Yeah, and switching characters not only brings new mechanics into the mix, but it means the game is never just one tone.
Another turd, Chop? Oh, I gotta school your ass. You hood, Chop.
It also means you're not just playing one jack-of-all-trades character. Each has their own special trait.
Yes, Trevor can activate a rampage, getting a huge damage and defense bonus. And both Michael and Franklin are in the Matrix. Michael can slow down time during gunfights, which plays into his criminal experience. And Franklin can do the same while driving, which makes him the perfect wheelman.
I loved driving with Franklin. It's just thrilling pulling your car out of tough situations. The driving's undergone an overhaul from GTA 4 as well. It's much easier, and yet the physics feel better. Hitting debris and fences has just the right amount of give and spin.
And they've ironed out any kind of physics awkwardness with the character models as well. Now you'll be leaping and sliding into cover with ease. Animations are fluid, whether you're running up a hill or falling to your death.
I'm not permitted to drive. I'm not permitted to drive cranes, buddy.
Gunplay has been overhauled as well and takes a lot of cues from Red Dead. And melee is finally good. Weapons can be highly customized now, which is helpful when you're stealthing, which is a new mechanic. I liked the stealth mechanic, Bajo. It's just hard to get on board with it without the better stealth indicators that we're used to from other games.
Yeah, that little blip on the minimap wasn't quite enough, was it? I also found that once you were busted, it was very difficult to get back into stealth. Are you crazy? I do like that you can shoot out lights, though.
Yeah, also the difficulty balance felt right. I felt like I was dying just about as much as I should have been.
Yeah, I died a lot, mostly because I liked that dramatic entrance on the way to a mission. It was always right at the end of the mission, and I'll just get, I'm like, oh, and oh, restart. Worth it.
The better you drive and the more stunts you complete successfully, the better your character's handling skill gets. And this goes for stamina and gunplay as well. You can improve these skills with activities or just by using them more.
You're not exactly dressed for cardio.
It's running. How much gear do you need?
There is a hefty mix of side missions and activities, some we know well and some that are more interesting, like the one we have to help this paparazzo.
Homewrecker! Harlot! Man, no wonder this whole town's in therapy. I love you, Miranda!
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of taking a thing we've done a million times in games, taking photos and then making it more interesting and unique every time.
Move! Come on, man! Hit the gas!
I especially liked the assassination missions and how you're often given a bit of freedom to how you wish to approach them.
Get what you give out, Mr. Lowry.
Yeah, I mean, Rockstar are meant to have spent hundreds of millions of dollars in this game, and I really think you can see it in the way the detail just fleshes out even the smallest of missions.
But you do not look like you're having fun.
And that's really what sets us apart, isn't it? That attention to detail. Such as the slight jet stream off your parachute, engine smoke from planes, the reflection on the back of your smartphone, the deep website integration of the world's interwebs, the worn soles of Michael's shoes. There's just so much of it, and it's the little things that make GTA 5 so big.
Yeah, those in-car animations have been improved a lot as well. And it's nice to see a detailed damage model as well. It reminds you that you've been in a fight and also encourages you to go shopping. Like we need any encouragement. GTA 5 doesn't take itself too seriously, does it? And it's nice to see a bit of that humor back in the franchise.
Yeah, 4 was so dark and gritty, and that did kind of work, but I really missed the jokes. But the characters here are much more likable with a dash of silly, and their words are more in tune with their character.
Americans are the most wonderful people in the world, aren't they?
The best.
Such fun.
Rockstar wants you to have fun with this game, and I was out loud giggling the whole way through.
Yeah, I mean, I think even just hitting someone with your car is a perfect example of that light and dark balance. I mean, it's so hard to talk about, isn't it? Because it is really funny when it happens, but out of context, it looks really bad. But things can get seriously dark quite quickly in the mean streets. Violence is commonplace, and lots of civilians have weapons. and they won't take any crap from you. It's kind of like the NPC revenge.
There's a big focus on heists in this game, and they're thrilling. First, you case the joint,
Alarms, vents, cameras.
pick your crew, and choose how you want to approach the mission. And then there's always this break before it's go time as you gear up and get the equipment you need for the heist, and that builds some nice anticipation.
Hey, Lester, we got a pest control van.
Good. Now we just need the knockout gas.
And on the heists, taking more risks means more money, and more things that can go wrong during the mission.
Damn cheap-ass crew. Crashed yourself out.
The risk-reward structure adds a lot to it, and I love how random encounters can sometimes reward you with a new member of your team to help out. They've focused much of this game around really building your heist team rather than just haphazardly blasting your way to the top of the gangster food chain.
If I had any criticisms, it would be that I loathe having to mash A to sprint. It was in 4 and I just don't like it. But the biggest issue is that you're constantly reminded that this game needs more power and deserves to be on next gen or PC. I just feel like I'm eating a gourmet meal with a plastic spork, and I've got a perfectly good set of sterling silver utensils in the cupboard.
Yeah, but I think we can both agree that it doesn't take away from the fact that this is one of the most technically impressive console games around. And, you know, there's still so much we haven't seen, including multiplayer, which unlocks soon.
Yes, we'll have to come back to that. You know, open world games are greater than the sum of their parts, and all the parts of this game are great, so that makes it's great. In true Grand Theft Auto style, though, despite the wonderful, dark, sarcastic social commentary that this series does so well,
He's black!
scenes like this torture minigame with the heartbeat linked to your controller will no doubt cause some controversy. I'm still digesting it, to be honest. It was certainly affecting and it made you feel something, so that is good, but I think perhaps some people may have appreciated the option to skip something like that. There's also a minigame in a strip club which is quite similar to that lecherous staring we saw in Killer is Dead recently.
Yeah, I think with GTA they've always strived to create as authentic a world as possible, and, you know, strip clubs are as legit a part of gangster life as their frequent use of the N-word, and it's a drop in the ocean of things to do in this city. You know, I tend to care about that stuff less when there's some tough female protagonist to balance out the stripper hooker side of things, and this would have been the perfect time to introduce a woman to the character lineup, I thought, so that was a bit of an opportunity missed.
Yeah, it's weird that they didn't do that. It is possible that there is a female character we haven't unlocked yet, but we are over 25 hours into the game, so...
You know, I've never really connected with GTA games in the way that I have with others, but that all changed with GTA 5. This world was just too glorious to resist, and it's without a doubt the best in this series. It's insanely clever and relentlessly fun, and the best is probably still yet to come with the multiplayer. I'm giving it 10 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yes, I think I can honestly say I haven't played a game with this much to do in this bigger world with this much detail before, and this much polish, so I'm giving it 10 out of 10 as well.
And to celebrate our double tens, we thought we'd show you our favourite moments from GTA 5 where things just didn't go quite right.
You happy now?
Dreadful and guessing, aren't I, Mrs. Thornhill?
So did you guess the audio clip for this week? It was Colonel James T, United States Marine Corps, calling into Chatterbox, a radio show in GTA 3. And he's mentioning his time in the American-Australian War, which is kind of a running gag in GTA games.
I wonder what we Australians did to offend someone at Rockstar.
I don't know, maybe he had a bad holiday here or something. Bad meat pie.
Yeah. Well, next week it's from one open world to another with Arma 3.
Plus our annual tradition of the FIFA Pro Evo comparison.
And over on Spawn Point this weekend, Darren and Goose take over the den of gaming and have a look at SteamWorld Dig.
Until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out.